Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again. Every season for every club has defining games, and this has the look of one for both Swansea and Norwich. Beating your direct rivals, or at least not losing to them, is often key to a successful promotion challenge, which makes tonight such an important game. Swansea have added more pragmatism to their philosophy with an abundance of clean sheets and the best defensive home record anywhere, but Norwich have the best away record in the Championship, and although their serene progress back to the Premier League has recently been checked by a couple of 0-0 draws, it is rarely straightforward for long at the business end of this table, and they have discovered that. A reminder of the two teams, two changes apiece for Swansea. Norton and Fulton return to the side. Cabango and Danda are the players who make way. It is Woodman in goal, Norton, Bennett and Gurhey the back three, Robertson, Bidwell in the wide areas, Grimes, Fulton and Harahan in midfield, Lowe and Ayew in attack. And for Norwich, Krul in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson and Cernsen, Skip and Rupp in midfield, Cantwell, McLean, Patleta and Pukki. And it's Swansea City who will get the game underway in their white shirts, black shorts and white socks. Norwich in their canary yellow shirts, green shorts and yellow socks. It is first, travelling to third in the Championship, and both sets of players and officials take the knee on a blast of the whistle from Simon Hooper, a Premier League referee in charge of this game, and both sides hoping to return to the top flight at the end of this season. And winning here tonight will give them a massive fillip with so many big games to come. And the football weekend is underway across the TalkSport network, and the weekend starts here at the Liberty Stadium with the Championship game of the season so far, as Swansea look to build on this near side. Ayew, though, loses out in an aerial duel with Hanley, and it's Aarons who plays the early ball forward, and Freddie Woodman just crept out of his penalty area but realised that Patleta was a very speedy customer, so just comes back in field and now clears it long downfield for Swansea once again. And Sam Parkin, we've got one team that concedes very few goals against another side which usually wins away, so what should prevail here this evening?
It's going to be really tight, Nigel. Already touched on, I don't think it's time to panic for Norwich, but they need something, they need more creativity. I thought Kenny McLean was going to play the most advanced. It looks like Rupp is actually pushing on at the moment, but I thought not so much changing the shape, but the personnel needed altered, and that's what Daniel Farke's won. So I think the luck will change, but not creating enough chances to win football matches at the moment, and Swansea just got that clinical edge and felt they'd probably fall away, and they're getting stronger if anything. So I think both of these teams are the real deal, and hopefully for the neutral, maybe Swansea can drag Norwich back into the automatic race with a few others.
The top six currently: Norwich on top with 55 points, Brentford with a game in hand on 51, Swansea also with a game in hand have played 26 games, they have 50 points. Then it's Reading on 47, Watford on 47, and Bournemouth, of course, falling away at the moment on 42. Jonathan Woodgate will be in temporary charge of their team tomorrow, following the dismissal of Jason Tindall earlier this week. Nearly 2 minutes played here at the Liberty Stadium. Of course, this is a fantastic venue when it's full, as it would have been for the FA Cup tie coming up live on TalkSport 2 next week at home to Manchester City, but it's eerily quiet here on a very still and very cold night in southwest Wales, as Norwich look to build on the left corner of the Swansea penalty area with McLean down the line again, and now Cernsen plays it back in field. It's a ball across towards Aarons, who just had space for a second before he was closed down and challenged by Bidwell, and now a long ball is played forward for Swansea, but Jamal Lowe was heavily outnumbered, and Hanley plays it wide towards the far side. There was some shirt pulling going on there on the Norwich player, but Swansea were allowed to continue, and Ayew lays it wide to the right hand side looking for Lowe once again, but it's broken up by Oliver Skip, a youngster on loan from Spurs, who was one of two ever presents in this Norwich team so far this season. And he just anchors in front of the Norwich back four, and he's been very, very effective for them. Now Tim Krul just outside the Norwich penalty area. Norwich, as Sam said, with 0-0 draws in their two most recent games. Of course, Emi Buendia is suspended for this game tonight following his red card against Middlesbrough last Saturday, live on TalkSport 2. And in the 15 games Norwich have played without him since his arrival, they've only won one of them. Here is Placheta now, the pole with a crossing from the left-hand side, looking for Pukki, but it's repelled by Bennett, and in the end Norwich have the opportunity to try and attack once again down the left-hand side, but it's Carl Norton who steps in to clear the ball long downfield once again.
Started at a great tempo, really slick Norwich in possession, really fizzing it around. There was an opportunity a few moments ago. I think it was Rupp, played a lovely pass into Aaron's right-hand side of the Norwich attack. He was dispossessed, but they've started in real fine fashion the away side.
4 minutes played on TalkSport 2, 0-0, and it's a measure of how well Swansea have played. But Norwich have shown them some real respect with their line-up here this evening. The Swans currently unbeaten in 7 games, and they've won 5 of those. And they were a side who really built a reputation for flowing, attractive football on their climb up the leagues under the likes of Roberto Martinez and Brendan Rodgers, and they still play some football which is very pleasing on the eye, but there's also a more prosaic side to them this season which Steve Cooper's developed, although Woodman just slips as he looks to clear, and Pukki almost robbed him, and the clearance nearly found McLean, who would have had a shot at an open goal on the edge of the penalty area, but Swansea got away with that, and now Fulton plays it wide to the far side, and Roberts back towards Fulton again, and Swansea very quickly have bodies around the Norwich penalty area. An opportunity for the cross in from Harahan, and it's headed away by Hanley, and now Gurhey heads it back towards Conor Harahan, who has 2 goals in his 2 Swansea appearances so far, and the second one of those at Rotherham last week was an absolute cracker, but on this occasion he's forced back towards his own goal. But if you give Timo Pukki just half a sight of goal, he's got the ability to punish you, Sam.
It works incredibly hard, did brilliantly there, almost forced what would have been quite a simple task for one of his teammates to fire into an unguarded net, but able to just recover in time. But in a really fast start from Norwich. Good attack from Swansea just a few moments ago, but Jay Fulton's pass was just a fraction behind Harahan, and the opportunity had gone. But yeah, it's got the feeling of a really big game tonight, and both teams have started with great intensity.
And we've talked about a blip for Norwich, but they're still unbeaten in 6 games, and it's only 1 defeat in 12, which came in Cisco Munoz's first game in charge at Watford. And they've set themselves very high standards this season, as the ball forward from Gibson is being quickly cut out by Grimes, and Swansea can build once again on the far side. It's in towards Fulton on the edge of the penalty area. He spins away from the challenge of Rupp, wide on the Swansea right hand side. Now Connor Roberts, who is the only ever present in their team so far this season, back towards Fulton, who had the opportunity to cross, but there was no real obvious target, so he goes back in field, and it's the former Norwich man Ryan Bennett who spreads it wide to this near side. And Gurhey out on loan again from Chelsea, and a player who has really shone in this Swansea team the longer the season has gone on. Connor Roberts with a driven cross into the penalty area. Gibson though rising to head the ball away at the near post, and it will bobble through towards Norton on the far side. But 80% of Swansea's attacks this season have been generated by either Connor Roberts or Jake Bidwell, and we've seen why already, Sam.
Yeah, that was a really good bit of play there. Nice crossfield ball by Bennett, and 2v1 up against Sorensen. Jay Fulton was just stronger, really sensibly flicked it into Connor Roberts, but well defended his delivery in the end.
Now Lowe finding Ayew inside the penalty area. He's just driven wide towards the right hand side, but he's got the room to turn, and now he's got support on his outside deep inside the penalty area, but the cross there was eventually blocked from Fulton, and it spins away but doesn't go behind for a corner. The backspin on that helped it back towards the field of play. Now Norton has support from Fulton once again for Swansea on the far side. Back towards Grimes, a low driven ball in from him. It's headed away by Hanley on the edge of the penalty area, but Ryan Bennett will look to keep the pressure on here for the home side. Grimes plays the 1-2 with Harahan, and it's wide towards the far side, and Norton once again. Now Grimes takes over midway inside the Norwich half. Harahan in space on the edge of the penalty area, slides it wide towards Bidwell, but an important challenge comes in from Aarons. It's going to be a key battle on both sides between the two sets of fullbacks. Aarons shoulder to shoulder with Bidwell on this occasion, and Swansea have a throw in on this near side.
I think Swansea fancy the wide areas. Nigel Fulton stayed really intelligently on 2 occasions, right up against Sorensen. It's freeing up the space for Roberts.
Gurhey charging forward now towards the edge of the penalty area, and he was clipped by Cantwell, and it's a free kick here for Swansea, a yard outside the box, left of centre, prime position for Conor Hourihane.
Yeah, good driving run from Mark Gurhey. It's been a good couple of minutes for Swansea. Like I said, they had loads of bodies over on the right hand side. Maybe Sorensen not being a natural left back, as well as he's been playing in there, is somewhere that a manager's always going to highlight, and they certainly have been flooding that area. Matt Grimes had the opportunity to find a decent delivery towards the far post, and there's actually a nice 2v1 situation down here as well, up against Max Aaron. So a little bit of pressure building, and this is a good opportunity for Hourihane.
9 minutes played, 0-0 at the Liberty Stadium on TalkSport 2, the Championship game of the season so far on the home of the EFL, and this a real opportunity for the Swans. Connor Roberts and Conor Hourihane are over the free kick. It's touched to Hourihane, who shoots it low, tries to go through the wall jumped, but it took a deflection on the way through to Tim Krul, who gathers at the near post.
Yeah, maybe just want to whip it round the outside of the wall, saw a gap potentially, and didn't really get too much pace on the strike. It was easily defended. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think he just trying to go through the outside player. I think it was Oliver Skipp and the player that was just to his left.
Don't forget, 3:45 a.m. early start for day 2 of the first test in Chennai, live and exclusive to TalkSport 2 tomorrow morning. Great day for England, 263 for 3 at the close, and Joe Root 128 not out in his 100th test. Outstanding performance from the captain, and play resumes tomorrow morning only on TalkSport 2. A high ball for Norwich, wide to this near side, headed infield by Bidwell. Lowe rather waited for it, and it's quickly won back by Rupp. Aarons cuts infield from the right hand side, wide towards the bearded Rupp again, and Cantwell takes over. Now Skipp, McLean up towards Rupp on the edge of the penalty area, wide to the right, and Cantwell, and the low ball fizzed in, is headed away by Bidwell at the near post, and it's a Norwich throw-in on this near side, and they really miss Buendia, don't they?
Yeah, I think when you look at it, Nigel, 3 quite similar players in the midfield. Skipp's, a bit more of a dog of war, a bit more of an enforcer in the midfield, but Rupp and Kenny McLean, they've really missed the number 10, I think, this season. When you think what Stiepermann brought them in that championship winning season, they haven't had a natural to go in now, I think, and dominate games. So again, I think they've got loads of bodies in the middle of the pitch. They're clearly overloading that position, but there's not a great deal of creativity in there again. But yeah, I think Swansea are going to try and utilise the wide areas, and Norwich are going to take the centre of the pitch and try and produce those little intricate moves and get Pukki in down the side. That's what's got them, great success where they have been winning this season.
Marco Stiepermann scored the only goal when these two sides met in November, but he's currently out of the side with a virus, as Norwich do have decent possession now, midway inside the Swansea half, for really the first time in the game. 11 minutes played, 0-0 as Max Aarons bobs and weaves away from Bidwell, then he's caught by Hourihane, and it's a free kick for Norwich, which is level with the edge of the Swansea penalty area on this near side there right. And of course Max Aarons and Jakob Sørensen, and before him Jamal Lewis, so often they spend their time in opposition territory, but I think tonight they'll have to be more watchful. Yeah, definitely. He's actually done quite well in possession, Aarons. He's been an outball for them, Norwich, and does well to win the free kick there. Just thinking back to what I was just saying, Nigel, maybe I thought Kieran Dowell was going to be the man to play that position behind Pukki this season, but obviously it's not worked out particularly for him to this point, so I think it has been an area that's been a bit problematic. Free kick on this near side, which Placheta, the Pole, will take high towards the far post, and it's a simple claim for Freddie Woodman, and he has been at the heart of a very, very durable Swansea defence so far this season. The most clean sheets in all 4 senior English divisions, 14 so far, and they kept only 13 in the whole of last season, as Cantwell just tangles with Gurhey on this near side, right in front of the assistant referee, and Cantwell at times can have a rather short fuse, and he displayed it there with his volley of abuse towards the official. Yeah, well, Woodman took a real risk, and Gurhey does well in the end, but Todd Cantwell had him exactly where he wanted him, and exactly where his manager would have
been screening him not to make a silly foul, because once you do that, the game is up. So unfortunately, that's what he did, and they're in a great position there to potentially turn over and make a chance.
Freddie Woodman, of course, on loan from Newcastle, was part of England's under-20 World Championship team a few years ago. Steve Cooper, the Swansea manager, was the man in charge of the under-17s, who also came back from their World Cup with a gold medal. And it really was a golden generation, and a number of those players are now performing well in top leagues across Europe, as Connor Roberts now breaks forward for Swansea. Just tried to poke it through to Lowe on the right-hand side of the penalty area, but Norwich win it back, and Rupp does well to ride a challenge and played infield towards Hanley, but then it's given away cheaply by Skip. Hourahan wide to Bidwell on the left, and infield again to Gurhey. And Swansea looking to get their wider central defenders forward at every opportunity, with Ryan Bennett operating as the anchor man deep inside their own half. But either side of him, Gurhey and Norton are almost auxiliary midfielders when Swansea are in possession. Here is Fulton, wide to Bidwell down the left-hand side. He plays the 1-2 with Hourahan, and Bidwell unable to keep the ball in play before he delivers across into the penalty area, and it's a throw into Norwich.
Yeah, a really good opportunity there. Again, it came from a really aggressive starting position from Jay Fulton. The ball from Woodman found him. Connor Roberts didn't see the pass. There was two completely unopposed Swansea players that had pulled to the left-hand side of the pitch. He tried a little intricate flick around the corner, which would have set Andre Ayew away, but there was 5 Norwich players drawn towards Ayew, dispossessed, and the chance was gone. So just needed to lift his head, and I think it was Hourahan would have been in business.
Nearly 15 minutes played here on TalkSport 2. Coming up following us just after 10 o'clock, day 2 of the Phoenix Open PGA Golf, live from Scottsdale in Arizona, where I would imagine it's a good deal warmer than it is here in Swansea on a Friday night, as Bidwell just grapples with Pookie on this near side, and then the challenge comes in on Gurhey, who was forward once again, and Simon Hooper has given Swansea another free kick in a dangerous area, and Norwich here just taking a chance with those challenges so close to their own penalty area.
Yeah, it's been a really competitive start, but no real quality from either set piece that both sides have had to this point. So Hourahan struck the wall, and then we had the Campbell delivery at the other end to hit the first man. So this is a good opportunity again.
And it's Hourahan who is over the free kick with Roberts. Everybody forward apart from Norton. It's Hourahan's delivery, high to the far post, rising to head the ball clear was Rupp. Grimes recovers for Swansea. It's a deep cross towards the far post. Fulton was the target, but it's claimed well by Tim Krul, who was making his 100th appearance for Norwich in the league this evening, as he quickly bowls it out wide to the far side, and Rupp charges forward, has support from Placheta. And now Rupp is the furthest player forward once again. Placheta looks to curve his run to make the run in field, but the pass never arrives, and Norwich have to be more cautious once again. And they are playing with a lot more caution than they have been in recent weeks. Of course, Timo Pukki was out of the side. Jordan Hugel came in, scored a few goals, but he's now injured. And Daniel Farke just turning away from the pitch in front of his arms outstretched, because whatever he's looking for, he's not getting it at the moment. Now Grimes plays it wide to the far side, and Lowe, who was quick but not quick enough to keep the ball in play, and it will be a throw into Norwich on the far side. We have played 17 minutes at the Liberty Stadium, 0-0 here on TalkSport 2 with Sam Parkin and Nigel Adderley. Coming up tomorrow on TalkSport 2 following the cricket, we have Coventry against Watford is the 12:30 game as part of Game Day Live on TalkSport 2. Then it's Middlesbrough against Brentford at 3 o'clock. Commentary on both of those games over on TalkSport at 12:30. Aston Villa against Arsenal is the lunchtime game. Adrian Durham will have all the goals as they go in Game Day Live. Then 2 games coming up live and exclusive to National Radio in the evening. At 5:30 I'll be at Craven Cottage for Fulham against West Ham, and then at 8 o'clock at Old Trafford it is Manchester United against Everton. Throw in for Swansea on the far side following a burst forward by Jamal Lowe down the Swansea right. It's thrown in towards Fulton, but it's a foul throw from Connor Roberts, and I've seen that a lot recently. Professional footballers cannot take a throw in properly these days.
It was really peculiar, that, wasn't it? I'm not entirely sure what happened, but I could see from here that it wasn't.
He did put his hands behind his head.
Yeah, he was trying to generate loads of power to get it quite a distance into one of the Swansea players' feet who moved into the 18-yard box, but yeah, referee right to...
I was at Reading last Friday and I saw somebody there who I can't remember take a foul throw, and Danny Cowley was absolutely disgusted as a manager who prides himself on the details.
There was a period where Serge Aurier was doing it most weeks, wasn't there?
Sometimes they don't get called, but I think clearly somebody's had a word, and now more and more players are, as Pukki looks to make the running behind Bennett on the edge of the penalty area, and it's brought down by Rupp. He was challenged heavily inside the area but stayed on his feet. Had he gone down there, Simon Hooper may have had a decision to make.
But he would have done. I mean, it was clear that Grimes was going to go for the challenge, and Rupp really surprisingly didn't go over the outstretched leg. Looked like it was going to end up in a penalty, but Swansea lucky to avoid it.
19 minutes played. Norwich are now 5 points better off than they were at the same stage 2 years ago when they won the title very, very comfortably in the end. And no team with 55 points at this stage has ever failed to get promotion in the Championship era. And although they've often lived off single goal victories, they've been getting the job done. They simply outplayed teams the longer the season went on 2 years ago and held their nerve in the big games against the likes of West Brom and Sheffield United and Leeds. But it may be more of a struggle in the current campaign, with a concertinaed schedule and players picking up injuries left, right and centre in all of the teams. It becomes a real test of man management and squad depth. Now Aarons for Norwich plays a ball in field, and Rupp with a back pass towards his own goal, and Lowe was almost in, and he was tackled by Krul 3 yards out. It was a sliding challenge by Krul, and he did well to win the ball. Had he not, he would have been in real trouble, and Norwich there almost close to a comical own goal.
Did unbelievably well. He looked like he was actually going to pick it up initially, and then he just moved his feet at the last moment and made the sliding challenge to divert it away. So real quick thinking from the Norwich goalkeeper. Sold really off guard there by Rupp's back pass.
And we have the video analysts from both teams actually sat on the same bench that we are, and at the moment it has been thumped. We can hear it at this end of the bench with increasing regularity, because both teams are making defensive errors which are uncharacteristic of them recently.
I don't think he'd seen Jamal Lowe there either. Jamal Lowe was only a fraction away from getting onto that loose pass.
Now Woodman plays the ball out under pressure inside his 6-yard area, but he picks out Harahan, and Grimes quickly transfers it wide to the right-hand side, and Fulton. 21 minutes played on TalkSport 2, 0-0 at the Liberty Stadium, but thrills and spills in both penalty areas so far. Ayew has it for Swansea down the left now. Bidwell infield towards Gurhey, and it's back towards Grimes, and now Norton takes over in a central position, 25 yards out, lofted wide towards Bidwell again, who leaps and stretches out to left leg to try and bring the ball under control, but it was offside anyway, and it will be a free kick to Norwich.
Yeah, Norwich got back into a really compact shape there, 4-5-1, just leaving Pukki up the pitch, and then it's difficult, I think, for Swansea to make inroads. They're much happier, I think, when there's space in front of them that they can exploit. Lowe can stretch his legs in beyond. Fulton started the game really well, so Harahan actually. They look like a really confident outfit in comparison to early part of the season where they were getting by in games, especially here at the Liberty, but not really in convincing fashion. They look a different outfit, like they are believing now that they're the real deal, and that's probably partly due to those new arrivals in January.
Now Cantwell has space to charge forward for Norwich, finding Pukki right-hand side of the penalty area, and his low shot snakes through the 6-yard area and just wide of the far post. And Timo Pukki, only one game in his last 7 in the Championship, but not too far away there.
Yeah, the moments that he preys upon, really. Normally he comes short, he links the play, and then he'll be on the move, on the shoulder of the defender. Beautifully found there, and he knows that he doesn't have to get great power on that, just has to steer it towards the far post. And the only surprise is that his technique lets him down, really. He's very relaxed when he strikes it there. He knows he just has to find the far corner, and it's quite a way off.
Well, he had another blistering start to the season, Timo Pukki. 11 goals in total, but he's had injury problems, and the goals, relatively speaking, have dried up for him. He scored his 50th Norwich goal in his 100th game against Blackburn before Christmas, but only 2 since. And they are relying on him for goals, because obviously Buendia chips in, he's got 7 goals, but you look elsewhere in the team and players who were scoring goals maybe a couple of years ago have not been able to find the net with such regularity, as Connor Roberts plays a good ball into the penalty area from the right hand side. Low was the target, then Aaron's unable to take any chances, cushions a header behind for the game's first corner.
Yeah, the ball went forward so quickly there, and Roberts was in such an aggressive position that Jamal Lowe just couldn't make the distance up in the middle, but Max Aaron's defended a difficult ball actually expertly well.
Well, only Emi Buendia has created more chances in the Championship than Connor Roberts so far this season. Both he and Bidwell have 5 assists apiece. And Swansea were a team who built a reputation of building patiently and trying to work through teams down the centre. Now it is get the ball into the wide areas as Grimes fizzes in a shot from the edge of the penalty area, fouled by Roberts, and it's gathered comfortably by Krul.
Yeah, Simon Hooper actually had to step over that one. Maybe Krul would have been a little bit unsighted by the referee, and Grimes has been in brilliant goal scoring form, obviously from that type of distance, but not enough on that strike to trouble Tim Krul's comfortable save.
And Swansea have shared the goals around. Lowe has 9, Ayew has 8, Grimes has got 4, which is not bad as a defensive midfielder, and of course Conor Hourihane has come into the side and scored a couple in his first 2 games just to ease the workload on the strikers. Here is Aaron's now for Norwich on what is a relayed pitch here at the Liberty Stadium. They had real problems earlier this season in the wet weather before Christmas. It was a real mudbath at times, which didn't help Swansea's start of play, as Placheta comes in field from the right hand side, finding Cantwell on the edge of the penalty area. Now Pukki with another shot. This time it's deflected, is it? No, it's not. It was miskicked by Pukki, and it's gone behind for a goal kick, and Timo Pukki stands there hands on hips, because usually when he has 2 chances inside the penalty area, at least one of them goes in.
Bang on, and the rotation of Norwich's players is really good. I think there's more movement in their ranks right now in terms of players rotating, not staying in their positions. That was Placheta on the right hand side, Cantwell was central, Pukki ultimately getting the strike, and normally even if the touch goes back the way or sideways, he's got a brilliant habit of just pivoting really and getting the strike away, maybe going through the opponent's legs, and there he just he sliced it quite badly away from the target. So that's 2 really presentable opportunities for someone who is a top goal scorer.
But Norwich do have the best away record in the Championship, 8 wins, 2 draws and only 3 defeats, and this from a side who only scored 7 times away from home in the Premier League last season. But the squad arguably now looks stronger now than it did 12 months ago. Of course, Jamal Lewis and Ben Godfrey were sold, but there's more depth certainly in support of Timo Pukki when everybody is fit, as Sørensen charges forward down the left hand side. Now Placheta looking for Rupp once again. His run's been tracked by Connor Roberts by the corner flag on the far side, but it's squeezed through towards Max Aaron's popping up on the left, which is a rarity for him. Now Cantwell takes over once again as Aaron's retreats into a midfield area, and Cantwell goes all the way back towards Ben Gibson, and it's good to see him playing regular football once again after a long time in the shadows at Burnley. It's forward towards Rupp, and now Cantwell. Pukki again was the target on the edge of the penalty area, but this time the ball has been cut out by Gurhi, and Swansea will try and build themselves down the right with Roberts, but it's back towards Woodman. This time it's a big right foot through the ball, high up towards the halfway line through the clear night skies here in southwest Wales, and Roberts gathers again down the right, but his first time ball forward is charged down by Sørensen. And here is Grimes finding Gurhi. Now Lowe on the move inside the penalty area. Goal side of Hanley, and Lowe's shot right-footed is saved by Tim Crawley. Was slightly off balance when he hit it, so the save was more routine, but that's a warning for Swansea.
Yeah, Grant Hanley really exposed there. What a pass from Gurhi. It bent away from the central defender beautifully, and then I think when Lowe gets there, he just thinks he's got to steer it with his side foot, and it's going to end up in the net, but he just doesn't get enough pace on it. I think needs to stay on the deck there as well. Once he lifts it, gives Tim Krul the opportunity to make the save, and yeah, it was a really weak finish in the end. Great opportunity.
27 minutes played, 0-0 here at the Liberty Stadium on Talk Sport 2, 3:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. for day 2 of the first test in Chennai. England 263 for 3 at stumps after day 1. Joe Root in his 100th test match, 128 not out, as Bennett cuts out another ball on the edge of the Swansea penalty area intended for Pukki. And here is Lowe again, looking to use his pace beyond Hanley down the left, and there's a collision of bodies on this near side, and the free kick has been given to Norwich. But already I think Grant Hanley knew, with the way he just put his body across Lowe there, he's aware he may have a problem 1-1.
He's got a bookmark there, hasn't he, for the collision on Todd Cantwell. I thought he was definitely going to go back to that. He allowed play to go on, and Skip nearly slid Pukki away, but the referee's okay with that. I thought it was going to be a definite yellow card for the Swansea defender.
Now McLean forward, but it's quickly cut out in the centre circle by Grimes. Here is Lowe, midway inside the Norwich half for Swansea. And Cantwell has a huge muddy smear down his canary yellow Norwich shirt on the far side as he looks to chase Roberts. It's back towards Ayew, who's been on the periphery of the game so far. Now Norton back towards Ayew again. It's all very congested on the far side. Ayew looks to pick his way through the bodies, but Norwich will clear, but it will come straight back. And Swansea have been the more effective side so far, but Timo Pukki has still had a couple of decent chances, as a high ball played over the top by Bennett, looking for Roberts, who actually goes over the body of Sørensen. The referee allows play to continue, and Sørensen lent into the challenge with Roberts, and Roberts went straight over his back, cartwheel to the floor, and play is still continuing. Now Fulton on the far side, he's challenged by McLean, and it's a throw-in.
Sørensen actually does brilliantly, because big collision. Looks like Swansea are going to get in inside right channel, and he just kind of manages to maintain his footing and dangles a leg and gets something on the ball to divert it to a Norwich shirt. So really good defending.
Both players are okay, but it was a hefty fall there for Connor Roberts, who is now winding up for a long throw on the far side. Plenty of distance into the penalty area, and it's flicked on by Fulton. Volley clear by Hanley on the edge of the 6-yard area. Now Pukki, heavily challenged by Norton, who won the ball, and the flag's gone up against Swansea for offside on the far side. Half an hour played at the Liberty Stadium, third against first in the Championship, and it's Swansea 0, Norwich 0 so far. Tomorrow we have Coventry against Watford coming up following the cricket at 12:30, and then it's Middlesbrough against Brentford at 3 o'clock. Brentford could be the leaders by 5 o'clock tomorrow night, depending on what happens here. And the chances have been at a premium so far. Swansea with 3 shots on goal, 2 of those on target. Norwich with 2 shots from Pukki, and both off target. It was Krul, wearing all sky blue in the Norwich goal away to our left, plays a long ball downfield. Rupp then heads it forward, looking for Sørensen, but Roberts was back there. He was given a nudge in the back by Sørensen, and that's a free kick for Swansea on the far side, midway inside their own half. We always felt it was going to be a tight game, and it's turning out to be one, Sam.
It is, yeah. I think Daniel Farke will be disappointed that Pukki hasn't taken one of those opportunities. They're the moments they wait for, really. I think it's been a really good quality game, though. Loads of movement within the Norwich ranks in particular. Swansea very efficient in their shape, but I've liked Norwich's start to this game in terms of the rotation, no set positions, keeping the opposition guessing.
Bidwell's cross into the penalty area. It strikes Hanley, because Lowe looked to duck down and flick the ball on, but made no contact. There were half-hearted appeals for handball from Lowe, but it would have been very harsh. And now Skip swings a high ball from left to right for Norwich towards Aarons on this near side, who comes in field, has Skip in support now, and Skip was almost wrestled to the ground by Grimes, but he shrugs him off. Placheta on the edge of the area. Aarons now comes in field again from the left-hand side and plays the ball across the face of the penalty area to Cantwell on the right, back in towards Aarons again, and then McLean is challenged by Ayew. It was a bit of a hospital ball back towards the Scot in the end, but Norwich maintain possession. Here is Cantwell, just rolls his right boot over the ball, but then gives the ball away. Here is Ayew, barrel-chested figure for Swansea, wide towards this near side and Lowe. Ayew makes the run into the penalty area, and he's challenged by Rupp, and in the end Ayew fouls Rupp, and it will be a free kick inside the penalty area to Norwich.
Yeah, just all a bit intricate down the left-hand side for Swansea. Two strikers combining. Pass wasn't really on there for Andre Ayew, but it was well tracked by Ruppin at the other end. Brilliant take from Oliver Skipp beyond Grimes. Once again, a little tug on his shirt. Didn't go to ground on that occasion, and the attack fizzled out. But again, Max Aaron's finding himself wide on the left-hand side there. Cantwell providing the width on the right. I'm really impressed with the way they try to go about things. Just once again, they haven't been able to produce that little bit of quality when it's really mattered, but loads to like about Norwich's performance, I would say.
And Ayew was down inside the Swansea penalty area. There was a coming together between himself and Rupp, and Ayew was yet to get up. And of course, he's a real talisman for Swansea, their highest wage earner by a considerable distance following the Premier League contract he negotiated on his return from West Ham. And it's noticeable that when the challenge was made, he got up to complain and then went down again, clutching his right ankle.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed his performance. I mean, I think with that salary, I suppose, comes question marks about his attitude, but I think he's been absolutely exemplary this season. So
no question about that, but of course, I'm sure that when his contract comes to an end, Swansea won't be offering him similar terms, even in the Premier League.
No, absolutely not. But no, he's done ever so well this season. So secure in possession. That's what I like about him. It allows the other forward players and the midfield players to break beyond him and be confident that he's going to supply them. So he's done that brilliantly this season, and also obviously chipped in with a great return of goals as well. So yeah, big player for them.
Ayew is now back on his feet. Earlier on this evening in League One, Lincoln moved 3 points clear. They won by 3-0 at Gillingham. It's their 6th successive away win in League One, so Michael Appleton doing a tremendous job at Sincil Bank. And the semi-final draws also been made for the Papa John's Trophy. Oxford are at home to Tranmere, and Sunderland will play Lincoln, and those games will be played on either the 16th or 17th of February, and I'm sure they'll be covered in depth here on TalkSport 2. As Norwich take the free kick, Ayew just hobbling back towards the halfway line. Now Ben Gibson on the far side, a player who has a wealth of championship experience to bring to this Norwich team. He was promoted with Middlesbrough back in 2016. That's a low ball to find Pukki midway inside the Swansea half. Now Rupp takes over once again, scoops it over the top. Placheta gathers inside the penalty area, but it's a good challenge by Norton to win the ball back. But here is McLean, slid down the centre, looking for the on-rushing Pukki, but beyond the fin and out of play for a goal kick.
Yeah, again though, every Norwich player, especially the midfield three, always looking to play forward, play at a tempo, play into the forwards' feet. That ball goes a little bit astray from Kenny McLean, but it's the right idea, just trying a little reverse pass into Pukki, who's bright and looking to pull in between the centre half. So I think it's been a much better display in terms of the intent. Maybe just that quality still not quite there, but not far away for the visitors.
Gibson has to make a hurried challenge under pressure from Jamal Lowe just outside the Norwich penalty area. Now Skipp plays it forward and he gets it back from a loose Swansea touch, and then Hourihane fouls Skipp and kicks the ball away as Norwich look to take a quick free kick, and Simon Hooper will have at least a word, and Hourihane could have no complaints if he books him here.
He probably won't, but I never understand why. It seems the easiest thing to police in the world, doesn't it, when a opposition player stops a quick free kick? Drives me mad, but doesn't seem to be in the rule book yet. He gets away with it.
And in fairness to Simon Hooper, he's done his best to allow the game to flow so far. He was in charge of Palace against Wolves in the Premier League last week, and there's been a bit more action in this game so far. Now McLean down the left for Norwich, a low ball into the penalty area, just skips off Carl Norton and goes behind for another Norwich corner with 37 minutes played, and it's still 0-0 here at the Liberty Stadium on TalkSport 2.
Good play again, just intent really to get into the box to try and make something happen. Kenny McLean, good driving run, and it's repelled by a Swansea boot, but getting into some good areas, but this is what we've seen quite a lot this season. We saw Brentford here a fortnight ago absolutely pepper the Swansea goal and territorial wise as well, but unable to breach them more than once. They're a tough nut to crack.
Swansea have conceded only 2 goals from corners so far this season, and they won't do here because it was played short towards Cantwell, who tried to just jab the ball across the 6-yard area, but it was blocked. But it's regathered by Skip, and Norwich still have plenty of players forward. As McLean strikes it, it was a real speculator, wide on the left-hand side, 30 yards out and about 15 yards wide.
Yeah, I'm not going to have a go at him, Nigel, because I saw him score the 2 best goals I've ever seen when I played alongside him for a year in St Mirren, so he's got that in his armoury. That one, not close, missed by a distance.
And Kenny McLean was a player who only really came into the Norwich team about halfway through the title season 2 years ago, but the longer the campaign went, the more and more integral he became to Daniel Farke's plans. As Aarons loses out to Grimes now, and there are options for Swansea further forward, and Lucas Rupp quickly brings any thought of a counter-attack to an end by just barging over Andre Ayew, and it's a free kick to Swansea once again. And both teams are making those technical fouls when they have to here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely been a feature of Norwich's season. Matt Grimes does brilliantly, fantastic endeavour, and that's what Ayew brings you as well, Nigel. So clever, always keeps it up there in the final third, even if it's just winning the free kick like this. Now they need to make Norwich pay. It's been poor quality from the set pieces so far.
Harahan will take it down the Swansea left. It's into the penalty area. Again, it's clear. Grimes fires the loose ball back into the penalty area. Ricochets out towards Roberts, and in the end it was Kenny McLean who glances a header over his own crossbar, and it's a corner kick to Swansea.
Yes, Jamal Lowe misses the flick, isn't it, at the near post, and Kenny McLean, I'm not sure he knows too much about it, just helps it on its way over the top of Tim Krul's goal. And just think, looking at the bench, Cabango missing tonight, he's been a big threat when I've seen them here at the Liberty. Nigel brings some real power from set pieces and eye for a goal.
He scored 3 goals, but he's on the Swansea bench, which looks very strong now with their new signings. Conor Roberts will take this corner. An in-swinger from the left-hand side, high into the 6-yard area. Hanley rises to head the ball away, and it's played wide by Grimes towards Lowe. There's pinball inside the penalty area. It was blocked by Aarons. Rebounds out towards Lowe again, down the right-hand side. He delivers across in towards the near-post area once again, and Hanley is there to head the ball clear, and it's a throw into Swansea on the far side with 5 minutes to play in the first half, and Steve Cooper's team pushing hard for the opening goal.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be another opportunity for Matt Grimes to strike, but he was really cute, actually shaped to put his foot through it and then shifted it to the right hand side. Jamal Lowe was lurking with just too many yellow shirts in the way to make a meaningful opportunity.
Another long throw hurled in by Roberts, deep into the 6-yard area, flicked on by McLean. Harahan with the volley, had to take it early at the far post, and it was a terrific challenge by Aarons to divert the ball away for a corner.
It's fortuitous the way it ends up at his left foot, but perfect position for him, exactly where he scored from last time out against Rotherham, and it's just a brilliant block. He just pulls off. Max Aarons gets drawn in, actually marking Jamal Lowe, and he reacts wonderfully well to make the block.
It was McLean again who flicked the ball across his own penalty area. Roberts with another corner, deeper this time, and Krul has dropped it inside the 6-yard area. Comes to claim, and he's lost it. Here is Ayew with the shot, and Swansea have the lead, and it's a goalkeeping error by Tim Krul, which has gifted Swansea the opening goal in such a crucial game. He came for the corner, he flapped, he lost it. From that moment, Swansea seized an opportunity, and it was turned in inside the 6-yard area by Andre Ayew, and the leaders are behind. It is Swansea 1, Norwich City 0.
Yeah, a real mess from a Norwich point of view. It's really packed the 6-yard box. Krul can't come through the bodies, should take it, and then Swansea do really well to keep it alive. Gurhey, then Bidwell back into the danger area, and as I've just been talking about, Ayew so clever, takes the touch just to settle himself, pirouettes, just angles it into the only place really which wasn't taken up by a Norwich player. So cute finish, but real bad goalkeeping mistake.
Yeah, when goalkeepers drop the ball like that, they usually appeal for a foul, but Tim Krul couldn't do that because there was nobody near him.
Yeah, there was a lot of players in the 6-yard box, but actually when he went to take it, he was kind of not challenged too aggressively or at all, so not sure why he spilt that, but did well to keep it alive, Swansea and Ayew. Clever finish actually in the end, easy to make a hash of that, but he did well to angle it into the corner.
That's his 9th championship goal of the season, only his 2nd in 11 games. And Swansea, a team with such an impressive defensive record this season, have the opening goal, and it was a real gift. And Swansea have won 14 and drawn 1 of their previous matches in which they've scored the first goal this season, not losing any of them. Norwich have now given the ball away again, and Lowe was just challenged by Placheta, and he came away with the ball on the halfway line, and Daniel Farke's team look rattled here. The goals have dried up for them recently, and they have given away a goal which will look very, very ugly to them when the video analysts go down at half-time, which they're doing now as they rush past us from our position at the back of the main stand. 90 seconds to play in the first half. Swansea 1, Norwich 0. And it's a Norwich free kick wide on the left-hand side. Timo Pukki's been caught by Norton, and this is a chance to respond very quickly. And you don't expect games like this to be embellished by goals like that?
No, it's probably been slightly more open than I anticipated. I think it's been a really good encounter. I think there's been great quality on display, but there has been a few defensive mistakes creeping in from both sides. Been really watchable. Not sure Swansea probably deserve to be in front. I think it's been a pretty even first half, but yeah, been really watchable.
Placheta with the free kick high into the area. Hanley's header, and it's turned aside by Woodman. It's the first save he's had to make, and Freddie Woodman did superbly well to keep out Grant Hanley.
Yeah, be relieved the header actually comes in that direction. If it went back across him, he wouldn't have had a pray up. Makes the save.
Now Harahan, there's an opportunity here for Swansea to break into the feet of Grimes, but he was challenged as he looked to find Harahan once again. And Norwich will recover possession with 15 seconds of normal time to play in the first half. Swansea leading here by a 1-0. Norwich have been top of the table since the 21st of November. There will be a minimum of 2 added minutes. But Brentford and Swansea are closing in on them. Wide on the far side, Gibson looks to find Placheta, and Placheta will be penalised for just challenging Roberts, and it's a free kick for Swansea in the right back area. And Steve Cooper's team have done pretty much everything right so far.
They've carried a threat. I don't think they've made too many chances, just the one really to speak of for Jamal Lowe prior to the goal, but defended pretty well. A couple of half chances for Pukki, but they look like they really know this system now, and I think adding a Harahan has been a really inspired signing. He gives them really nice balance in there, with Grimes just holding and Fulton and Harahan having a bit more licence. The midfield's got a really nice balance, and we've seen it so many times this season, Nigel. It's going to take something extraordinary really for Norwich to take all 3 points now, because that's just been not the way here at Liberty this season. They've been so clinical when they've been able to get in front in matches.
So the table as it stands at the moment: Norwich 55 points, Swansea 53 points, Brentford 51 points. And if Norwich lose this game, Brentford will be 4 points behind them with 2 games in hand. They will fancy that. Now McLean coming forward, long way to go of course, as we approach the end of 2 added minutes at the end of the first half. Now Rupp back towards Hanley once again, and Swansea just drop into their defensive formation, and they are very, very difficult to break down as Pukki has to try and draw Norton out towards the midfield area to try and play in Placheta down the left, but the Swansea man saw that one coming, and that's half-time. And Swansea have rattled the leaders just before the break. Andre Ayew with the opening goal after Tim Krul made a real hash of a corner. Timo Pukki with 2 earlier chances, but he failed to hit the target. And we had the header from Hanley, which was palmed aside by Woodman. The only shot on target from Norwich in the opening 45 minutes, and it's Swansea who are closing the gap on the leaders as it stands. At half-time, Swansea City 1, Norwich City 0. Thank you, Dan. Norwich about to get the second half underway. No changes to either side made during the break. Swansea leading here by a goal to nil. If it stays like that, then Norwich's lead at the top of the table will be trimmed to 2 points, and Brentford can go even closer if they can win live on TalkSport 2 at Middlesbrough 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. A reminder of the two teams again for you. Swansea, Woodman in goal, Norton, Bennett and Gurhey the back three, Roberts and Bidwell in the wide areas, Grimes, Fulton and Harahan behind Lowe and Ayew. For Norwich, Krul in goal, Aarons, Hanley, Gibson and Sørensen the back four, Skip and Rupp in midfield, Cantwell, McLean and Placheta behind Pukki. And Pukki did not take his chances in the first half, and Tim Krul's error allowed Andre Ayew to scramble in the opening goal for Swansea just before half-time. And it's Norwich in the canary yellow and green, playing from right to left in the second half. Here is Sørensen on the edge of the penalty area, now Rupp wide to Placheta. And Sørensen once again, who was displaced for 2 games by the Greek international Dimitris Giannoulis, but back in the side tonight, and it breaks down between Sørensen and Placheta, and it will be a throw-in for Swansea in their white shirts, black shorts and white socks. And it's now a very cold evening here in southwest Wales, not too far from the sea. The Mumbles is a lovely part of the world. And Swansea look to build on this near side with first Lowe and then Ayew. It's back towards Tim Krul, and I noticed, Sam, that Tim Krul was the first player out for the second half to do some work with the goalkeeping coach. It may be, part of a longer term thing, but I'm sure he will have held his hands up in the dressing room at half time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, experience, customer. I'm sure he would have done, and he's been brilliant for Norwich. So. Not going to be defined by one mistake, but big game tonight, and important that they respond now in the second half, otherwise things could really get twitchy for them.
Here is Roberts now inside the penalty area, tries to dab the ball in field towards Fulton, but Norwich will clear it. Here is Placheta, who has not really had too much of an impact going forward, a player who arrived with a good deal of fanfare from Polish football, came through the academy at RB Leipzig. Here is Harahan now, he can strike it left-footed. Oh, wonderful goal by Conor Harahan, and Swansea double their lead and close in on the leaders, Norwich City. Conor Harahan with his third goal in 3 games since joining Swansea City, and that was Premier League quality. Left-footed, 25 yards, arrowed into the corner. No chance for Krul this time. Swansea 2, Norwich City 0.
Yeah, just a quite brilliant strike. Unfortunately for Norwich, it's Kenny McLean just with a loose pass, left-footed, just tries to pop it back to one of his midfield teammates. And when it's played square, he's got no right really to score from there. It's the truest strike as you're ever likely to see. Nigel bends beyond the couple of Norwich players who are coming out to charge him down. Tim Krul on that occasion, no chance, whistles into the corner.
And the difference for Swansea this season, under both Graham Potter and to a certain extent Steve Cooper last season, I mean, they're a selling club, they continue to be a selling club, but the players they were bringing in from the Premier League had quality, very good technical ability, but they lacked the experience. They weren't ready to play in the Championship. Conor Harahan certainly is, and he's shown that so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a great bit of business. I would imagine there would have been almost every team battling for promotion in the Championship interested in taking him. He's come here, and I think to get that experience could prove invaluable really moving forward, and what a start he's had just to be playing. He looks like he's really enjoying it, and the quality of his finishing, the 3 goals has been outstanding. That was the best.
I'm not sure he meant the one against Brentford, but the one against Rotherham, the one here,
yeah,
you will not see better shots anywhere.
It was a brilliant strike. It's the only place it probably could have gone there. It absolutely flew past the goalkeeper.
Well, Norwich, who have failed to score in their previous 3 games in all competitions, trail here by 2 goals to 0. And Swansea have only conceded 7 goals in the second half of games in the Championship this season. That is the lowest total in the 4 senior divisions in English football. They are very, very good in that sort of situation, and they've won all 11 of the games in which they've led at half-time so far this season. And Steve Cooper has turned them into a real machine. But it's not just a side who are based on defence. They seem to have the balance absolutely right at the moment. And Norwich here, who have had such a good season themselves, are in real trouble in one of the key matches so far in the campaign. Here is Ayew. Hanley's been drawn out of the centre. There's a coming together between Ayew and Hanley on the far side, and shoulder to shoulder the ball goes behind, and it's a goal kick. And if you're Daniel Farke, how soon do you make the changes?
Now, I think, Nigel, to be honest, the two that I mentioned actually are out there warming up. I think Ida, the young centre forward, looks like he's out there as well now, so maybe it'll be a triple substitution on the way, maybe a change in the shape to get the two forwards on in tandem. But yeah, I suppose you'll just wait for the game to settle down 2 or 3 minutes and then maybe act. But they certainly look like they're ready in the cavalry from the bench.
Here is Aarons on the far side for Norwich, they're right, looking for one of those typical buccaneering runs towards the edge of the penalty area, back towards Cantwell, and Aarons takes over once again. Now Rupp, and they're working very hard to try and break Swansea down here, but they're not making too much headway. Here is Placheta popping up down the right hand side, and Rupp now has space inside the 6-yard box, but the cross in towards the near post was blocked by Bidwell, and Swansea will clear. And on both sides of the ball, Swansea have been very good so far in the game, as Cantwell now plays it wide towards McLean. Sørensen, Rupp again, with Ryan Bennett, a former Canary, at his back, just forces him back towards the halfway line, and we can count the passes here from Norwich, but they're not really going anywhere. Now McLean, wide towards Sørensen again. Pukki inside the penalty area, just has to turn and take the extra touch, and now Cantwell outside the box goes back towards Hanley, who is the last man for Norwich. Midway inside the Swansea half, we're set up for a thrilling second half if it carries on like this. Before a loose ball into the penalty area from Norwich is volley cleared by Grimes. Hourihane throws back his head in frustration because he doesn't find Ayew, and a long-range shot from the edge of the penalty area from Ben Gibson whistles just wide.
Yeah, terrific strike, not too dissimilar to what Hourihane just produced at the other end, but a good response to the second goal going in from Norwich. Couple of good little raids into the penalty box. Rupp, I think it was, on the far side, intelligent defending from Hourihane, just gave him a little shove at the vital moment, and then that shot from Gibson just whistling past the post. So it was shot me quite well, but given what's gone in the last few games, Nigel, this is a challenge above Middlesbrough, above Millwall, considering just how much this team is enjoying defending right now. You can see the belief in the back three in particular, but the whole side just seem to revel in it right now.
Norwich heading for only their second defeat in 13 games, and they've won 8 times during that run. But it's remarkable, isn't it, because when they kicked off last week against Middlesbrough, they could have gone 9 points clear. By the end of this weekend, their league could be a single point.
Yeah, it's I still think this isn't...
It's not a done deal by any means.
No, it's not, but it's not a cause for huge concern. This is a really tough game, as have been the last couple of games. They'll come back, Norwich, no question, but yes, this really does open up the league, doesn't it, if they are to fail to pick up anything up tonight. The performance hasn't been bad from the visitors, but it's just turning those half opportunities into the goals that they were getting early part of the season.
Well, Steve Cooper, arms thrust deep into pockets on a chilly evening, paces around the Swansea technical area. The 2-0 win at Cardiff before Christmas, live on TalkSport 2, gave him hero status in this city, and they've really built on that. Another long throw high into the penalty area from Roberts, leaping to clear is Cantwell with the shock of blonde hair. Norton's header back towards the edge of the area was short. Sørensen looks to clear, but it's returned over the top by Bennett. Here is Roberts once again into the path of Ayew, and there was a cute touch there from Fulton looking to release Roberts again, but the ball just spins out of Swansea's grasp, and it will be a throw-in to Norwich on the far side. 54 minutes played, and there will be movement, a triple change on the Norwich bench very soon. Vrancic, Ida and Fernandez are all coming on, with Norwich trailing here by 2-0, and this will be 2 points from their previous 3 games. if they lose here. But now McLean, plenty of time to sort things out. Plachetta, left-hand side, breaks into the penalty area, weaving run, but a combination of Norton and Roberts win it back, and Roberts with a long ball forward. Gibson beats Ayew in the air, and now Skip works it back towards Sørensen on this near side again, and Norwich have got to try and get their fullbacks into the game in a more attacking sense, because at the moment Bidwell and Roberts are winning that battle comprehensively. Now Aarons again down the right hand side, has to come in field because the route towards the byline was blocked off by Bidwell and Hourahan. Gibson takes over. Here is Sørensen now, left hand side of the Swansea penalty area for Norwich. Skip again, square towards Aarons, who once again is choosing to try and move in field to free the space for McLean in the wide area. Cantwell with a lovely turn on the edge of the box. He's got support from McLean, who tries to hit it first time and guide the ball in right-footed, and he was never quite set for the shot, and the ball bobbles wide.
Wonderful take from Cantwell, brilliant position, little turn on a sixpence really, plays it into the path of Kenny McLean, and I think there's another touch in that on his weak right side. He just gets a bit excited and takes it first time. Can he just maybe allow that to run across his body onto his stronger left side, where he could have just guided it into the far post? Yeah, maybe Bennett was in close proximity, but another half chance goes wanting.
But the trio of Norwich replacements just having words with a member of Daniel Farke's backroom team and looking at the various plans. So Ida will play up front, Vrancic could be behind the striker, and Hernandez in the wide area. Interesting to see who comes off. Well, Oliver Skip is the first player, and he quickly trots off on the far side to try not to waste any time. And then it's Plachetta who is the second, so Hernandez will replace him in the wide area. Will they go for two up top? They will, because it is going to be Pukki and Ida up front, because Ripper's the other player, and they've ripped up the game plan, haven't they?
Yeah, it needs must really when you concede that early in the second half. And obviously I think Kenny McLean will just drop back in alongside Vrancic. That's two real forward thinking ball players now as the two deep line midfielders, so that is all in, Nigel. 5 minutes into the second half, two centre forwards, Cantwell and Hernandez wide.
Almost a 4-2-4 when they have the ball moving forward now, with Hernandez on one side and Aarons looking to make it narrow from the right to get the long ball forward, looking for the young Irishman Ida, who controls on the edge of the penalty area, looks to find Pukki, and it's cleared downfield, and Ida has had a bump on the head in the aftermath of that, accidental I think, and he just gets back to his feet rather ruefully, rubbing the back of his skull.
Yeah, the first one's a little bit loose, the first touch, but I think he could do better the second time. It ricochets back to him. First involvement, unable to keep the ball in the final third for Norwich. Interesting just to see how much pressure builds and how Swansea deal with it, how intelligent they can use the football when they're breaking. There should be opportunities on the counter-attack for Jamal Lowe and Andre Ayew in particular. You have to assume that's going to happen, the way that Norwich are going to go for it.
Well, Norwich have had 7 goals scored by players coming off the bench already this season. Adam Ida scored the winner on the opening day at Huddersfield with a very brief cameo. Now the Cuban Hernandez skips in field towards the edge of the penalty area from the left, but he's challenged by Grimes. Vrancic though was able to play it square towards McLean, and there was an opportunity to strike from long range there on the edge of the penalty area. Comes in field again looking for Ida, but the touch was loose from the youngster, and it's hoofed away by Roberts up towards the halfway line. Lowe losing out with Hanley, and then it's Gibson who plays it back towards Tim Krul once again. 59 minutes played on TalkSport 2 at the Liberty Stadium. Swansea leading Norwich by 2-0. Goals either side of half-time from Ayew and Hourahan. And the leaders are finding themselves under increasing pressure at the top. 2-0 draws, and they're 2-0 down in this game, but there is time for them to retrieve the situation. Cantwell with a cross in from the right hand side, which is blocked by Grimes again. Ayew heads it wide towards the far side, and Hourahan back in field towards Ayew again, and Swansea can break here. Ayew's got room ahead of him, and now Lowe in space on the right hand side, so too is Roberts. Roberts plays it down the line for Ayew on the right, just holds his run. And there were three players now waiting for the cross inside the penalty area. Norton, short towards Fulton. And now Roberts takes over once again, and it's worked back towards Fulton, who is tight to the touchline down the right-hand side. Norton finding Roberts, and then Ayew. It's really good one-touch play from Swansea in a confined space on this near side. And eventually it's broken down by Sørensen, but Ayew flicks it back into the path of Roberts. And Roberts now with a clever ball to release Fulton inside the penalty area. And just as Bidwell looked to pull the trigger at the far post, it's Aarons who makes the challenge, and Swansea have a throw-in. And that is wonderful stuff from Swansea.
Yeah, just so clever. Two of the players involved there. I mean, Roberts had an unbelievable season. It's his brilliant touch around the corner, but Fulton and Ayew are such clever footballers. They're so secure in possession and very intelligent there as well. So they worked the position wonderfully well. Just unfortunately, Fulton's cutback went to a yellow shirt.
Roberts now with a long throw into the penalty area once again, and it's headed away, and Ida will get there before Grimes on the edge of the box and lay it square to Aarons, who's got the opportunity to clear downfield, but he's quickly closed down. The back pass will find Krul, and Krul comes across his penalty area, and here is Gibson in the left back area on this near side to clear, and he gets the ball away just before Ayew lunges in to try and tackle him. And eventually Norwich work the ball downfield and have a throw-in just in front of the Swansea technical area on this near side. 61 minutes played on TalkSport 2. Swansea leading here by 2-0. Don't forget, 3:45 tomorrow morning, day 2 of the first test in Chennai. England starting 263 for 3. Joe Root unbeaten, 128 not out in his 100th test. And that's all live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow morning from 3:45. We welcome listeners to TalkSport to the Liberty Stadium, where Swansea lead the championship leaders Norwich by 2-0. Andre Ayew scrambling in after a goalmouth error from Tim Krul just before half-time, and a wonderful shot from 25 yards from Conor Hourihane just after the break have put Steve Cooper's team in a commanding position here. Norwich have made a treble change to try and change things, and they've won a free kick midway inside the Swansea half, which one of the replacements, Mario Vrancic, will take. Adam Ida and Onel Hernandez are the other two players who have come on. Timo Pukki missed two great chances earlier on in the first half. Vrancic with the free kick, and it's flicked on and behind Sørensen, and it's gone behind for a goal kick. Sam Parkin is alongside me. It's been an excellent game, Sam, and Swansea at the moment deservedly in the lead.
It's been brilliant, great quality from both sides. It's just beautifully poised right now, isn't it? Swansea with the 2-goal margin, but Norwich throwing everything at their hosts. They're going to have the real power on the counter-attack as well, Swansea. There's going to be openings because the game's going to get really stretched, and we could be in for a wonderful last half an hour, especially if Norwich could get something in the next few moments.
And you can listen to TalkSport 2 on your DAB radio or via the TalkSport app. And you can swipe between the two stations, TalkSport and TalkSport 2. And commentary of this game will continue on TalkSport 2 with 62 minutes played. Swansea leading Norwich by 2-0. And it's all got rather scrappy for Norwich, which will suit Swansea at the moment as McLean goes back towards Krul once again. Norwich's lead will be trimmed to 2 points if they lose this game, and Brentford will be 4 points behind them with 2 games in hand. They are at Middlesbrough, live on TalkSport 2 at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Before then, Game Day Live starts with Coventry against Watford at 12:30 from St Andrews. Over on TalkSport, Villa against Arsenal is the lunchtime commentary. Game Day Live with Adrian Durham, live from St James's Park. Then it's Fulham against West Ham at 5:30 and Manchester United against Everton at 8 o'clock. All of those games live and exclusive to national radio on TalkSport. And we have the first booking of the evening, and it's Ryan Bennett, who has been penalised for time wasting. A bit early for that. But it's a free kick, which Freddie Woodman will take for Swansea. Long downfield, flicked on by Roberts, and then headed away by McLean on this near side. Then Roberts does well just to keep the ball alive and work the ball off the body of McLean out for a throw-in, which he'll be able to hurl high into the penalty area from this near side.
Yeah, and signs now of that Swansea game management. I think, Nigel, I wouldn't say it was a storm, but Norwich had a decent spell after the second goal, and now Swansea played their way back into the game. So Daniel Farke's played his cards. I was just looking to see if Steve Cooper was ready in any of his substitutes, but I think so far so good. No need to really change anything right now. He'll be satisfied with how his team are doing.
And Manchester City are here next in the FA Cup as a high hanging ball into the Norwich penalty area. It's headed behind by Ben Gibson. It was a difficult ball for him to attack, and under pressure from Ayew, he just concedes another corner.
Yeah, again they did really well to keep it alive in the opposition's danger area, and that was just a spinning ball that was difficult to deal with for the Norwich defence, and that Swansea, you wouldn't have seen this last year, I don't think, from Swansea. Do you know what I mean? It's just the mindset seems to have changed, Nigel. Just experts in managing the game, running the clock down already with 25 minutes to go, no urgency. Connor Roberts just taking his time down there.
65 minutes played, Swansea 2, Norwich 0 on TalkSport 2. And the corner from Roberts is lofted high to the far post, headed back towards the edge of the penalty area. Pukki, though, steps in before Grimes. It breaks to Gurhey, and then Bennett flicks it into the box, and Bidwell will chase on the left-hand side, but sliding out to smother the opportunity is Krul. And it's an opportunity for Norwich to clear once again, and Tim Krul's error really changed the course of this game just before half-time, and Conor Hourihane really capitalised on it with his goal just after the break. Now Sørensen once again, finding Cantwell, and his ball wide to this near side, deflects off Bidwell, loops high into the penalty area, and it was gathered by Freddie Woodman, and Adam Ida rather leapt into him, and there was a coming together. Plenty of yelps of pain we could hear inside the empty stadium, and Ida once again is the player who was down, and Woodman, the goalkeeper, was also limping around.
Yeah, well, Freddie Woodman will be lucky if he escapes without injury here. Oh, he just kind of backs into him, doesn't he? He's not got anywhere to go really, as Ida, but big collision. Looks like he's come off worse, actually, the centre forward.
He's been booked as well.
It's probably the right decision, wasn't it?
He's come away clutching his ribs, and he's claiming to Freddie Woodman that he was challenging for a ball which was there to be won, but I think by the time he got there, Woodman had it comfortably under his control.
There's not been too much wrong, I don't think, with Norwich's performance, Nigel. Just two individual errors, and that's not something that seems to have been a theme throughout the season. You know, defensively they've been very good recently. The second one's a bit of a freak, isn't it, in that Kenny McLean gives it away in an area where you don't expect to get ordinarily punished. It's just a wonderful strike from Hourihane. So yep, that first goal, yeah, real individual mistake from Tim Krul.
Now Gurhey has caught Cantwell, but Cantwell is strong enough to ride the challenge, and he's found Ida inside the penalty area, right hand side. Pukki waits in the centre, Ida delivers the cross, and I'm not sure the ball may have gone behind anyway, but it was gathered by Woodman. And Gurhey there slightly fortunate once again not to be penalised for the early challenge on Cantwell, who did him a favour by staying on his feet.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a carbon copy of what happened in the first half, and I felt he should have been booked, so he would have been walking the tightrope, and unfortunately Ida just maybe lacking in a little bit of sharpness. It was a good pass from Cantwell down the side, felt that he was going to get there and maybe supply Pukki, but just ran out of pitch.
Cantwell once again, and he's really giving it everything in the second half as Norwich look to try and respond to this 2-goal deficit with 22 minutes to play. Swansea being good value for their lead so far, and now actually the referee has gone back and booked Gurhey, I think, for that earlier challenge on Cantwell. So did he allow another passage of play to... I mean, it's the right decision to book him, but he's really taken the advantage to extremes there, Simon Hooper.
Yeah, allowed it to go on, called it back. I think it is the right decision. Todd Cantwell has played well actually in patches. His positioning is really clever. He gets turned very quickly, takes it on his back foot, and then he's past you. He's not electric quick, but really nice mover with the football, quite deceivingly so. So yeah, he's had a decent game. Another set piece. Can they work something now?
Brancic with the free kick. It's Hanley who had a free header. It strikes Ayew inside the penalty area. Half-hearted appeals for handball once again from Norwich, but it's cleared away by Gurhey up towards the halfway line, and Hernandez does well. He's quick, and he strides in before Lowe to guide it back towards Krul. 20 minutes to play on TalkSport 2 at the Liberty Stadium. The leaders Norwich trailing Swansea by 2-0 in the championship game of the season so far, and it's lived up to the billing, but Norwich at the moment are slipping to only their 4th away defeat so far this season. And Swansea's record of clean sheets and not conceding in the second half of games has currently been maintained. But here is Hernandez with an opportunity. His shot was deflected, almost ricocheted into the path of Pukki. Here is Hernandez once again down the right-hand side. He's got Aarons in support. Aarons lays it in towards Pukki. Now Vrancic over the top looking for Aarons, and he can't keep the ball in play. And Norwich have been maybe just a bit too intricate at times.
They are, but this is what they do, Nigel, and they'll feel now with Vrancic on the pitch, they'll be able to find that little pass to get someone in. Hernandez has made a little bit of an impact as well. That was a nice bit of play, but two Swansea bodies, I think it was Gurhey and Bidwell, throwing themselves in front of the shot, just underlining what they do defensively right now. But yeah, it's another good spell for Norwich. I'm keeping an eye on the American Jordan Morris, because I think this is set up for him, the Swansea substitute, to come on now. His energy and his powerful running, I think it's coming to that point now where Swansea need an outlet, someone to get them right at the pitch. So expect him to be on in the next 5-10 minutes.
It has been caught by Fulton. It's a free kick on the halfway line for Norwich. The Swansea bench, Cabango, Latibeaudiere are both defenders. Danda, Freeman, Whittaker, Manning, Morris, Hamer the goalkeeper, and Cooper the youngster. And there is much more depth to the Swansea squad than probably this time last year, and they play with a much more pragmatic style than they did under Graham Potter a couple of years ago, and they were very watchable, Sam, but they never really looked like getting promotion, did they?
No, I think you could tell what a good coach he was immediately. Likes versatility with his players that can play different roles, and we saw that a lot. But yeah, this manager's definitely gone away in the summer and thought about things, and this is a wonderfully balanced Swansea team who know this system. I suppose it's got a little bit. I'll just break off here, Nigel.
Ida inside the area, can't gather a high ball in from the right, and it's gathered by Woodman.
Yeah, it's almost like that Chelsea shape, isn't it, under Conte, when they played the same way, and it was built on those two wide players, Moses and Alonso. Obviously not the quality of player maybe that we're talking about here, but the system that they all seem to really believe in, and that gives them such defensive solidity, and not the necessity to go and really pummel teams and score mountains of goals. They're just doing enough in that regard, but it's built on a solid foundation, and they're getting better week by week every time I see them.
And Connor Roberts has really been a standout performer. He's an ever-present, and he was a player last season who found himself out of the team at times, but he's clearly learned whatever he's been told. Here's an opportunity for Hernandez down the right, just wriggles away from Gurhey, but Grimes is there again just to pick up the pieces inside the area, and it's eventually volleyed clear by Fulton, and Ayew will look to eat up the ground and get there before Hanley, and he has, and there's an opportunity here for Lowe to break into the penalty area, but in the end it's guided back by Hanley towards Krul, who is able to clear downfield.
They recovered really well, didn't he, Grant Hanley? It looked like Lowe, once there was the coming together, then he pushed it into the space. Looked like there was only going to be one winner, but just starting to toil maybe a little bit, Jamal Lowe. It's a big task for him up there, especially Ayew drops very deep.
Now Hernandez, and he was challenged cleanly by Grimes to win the ball back for Swansea, and there could be a break on down the left-hand side for Bidwell, but he just has to check his run to stay on side. Lowe waits in the centre. Ayew is ambling towards the Norwich goal from the right-hand side, so it's back in field towards the captain Grimes once again, and here is Gurhey, who is an England under-21 international. Eddie Boothroyd was due to be here tonight to watch him and others. He's on loan from Chelsea. Short ball played in field by Roberts, but in the end Harahan does brilliantly well to win it back from McLean, and he wasn't too far away from playing Roberts in, and we are about to see Jordan Morris on loan from the Seattle Sounders. Of course, Swansea have American owners, and they've maybe used their contacts to prize a couple of players on loan from MLS. Here is Cantwell for Norwich down the right-hand side, and we have only 16 minutes to play now, and it's still 2-0 to Swansea, and Freddie Woodman has not really had a shot to save since the second goal. Now Vrancic looking to change that, tries to find Ida down the centre. It's been cleared, almost won back by McLean, and Swansea have won it back, and now they can break. Ayew, though, had nobody ahead of him, needs support, finds it from Harahan, who lays it wide to the right hand side, and Roberts down the line for Lowe. Hanley is drawn out to the centre again, and Lowe would surely be quicker than him if he was able to knock the ball past him, but Hanley recovers to make the challenge. And here is the change, and Jordan Morris, an American international, will come on to replace Jamal Lowe.
Yeah, he just ran out of puff, didn't he, Jamal Lowe, last few moments, but I like this lad. I've just seen a lot of him normally in a kind of 4-2-3-1 shape, playing wide left where he comes in field on his stronger right side, but he's obviously going to have to play up top in this system. But you'll see from his build, very powerful boy, very quick, eye for goal. I think at 26 years of age, it's a gamble that was a bit of a no-brainer for a championship club. I think he's got something.
He's got some very talented South Americans, Seattle, and he provides the balance and at times the muscle for them when they look to move forward. But he's quickly on the ball now, on the edge of the penalty area, brushes aside a couple of challenges, and Fulton almost found Ayew, who would have been clean through to make it 3-0.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity. Morris, good first touch. Fulton with the chance to slide in. Andre Ayew would have had to go to feet, opted to go into the space and therefore sail through to the goalkeeper. But yeah, his job is going to be hustle and bustle, get them up the pitch now.
He's doing that now as the back header from Hanley does find Krul, but there wasn't too much in it. Of course, the Swansea owners did bring Bob Bradley, the former US coach, briefly to Swansea. That didn't really work out. I think he was here for 11 games before being moved on. But they are using people they know in MLS. I mean, there is a chance the MLS season may not start on time. They're currently having talks to try and sort that out. And poor Areola is another player who's arrived from DC United but not in the squad this evening. Two other signings, Kieran Freeman from Swindon and Morgan Whittaker from Derby for $700,000 are also on the bench this evening. And it's rare to see Swansea pay money for a player, because usually they're heading out the door for decent fees.
Yeah, another one from that England under 17 group, isn't it? I presume not had much opportunity at Derby.
Whittaker,
but yeah, looks like a good signing, and I think you're just going to want to come and play for Steve Cooper, aren't you, if you're part of that group, and he can almost guarantee that you're going to be part of a matchday squad in the Championship. It seems like a no-brainer for these young talented internationals.
Well, Steve Cooper was the coach of that team which won the World Cup. Phil Foden, Jadon Sancho generation. Now McLean inside the area for Norwich, but it's crossed to the near post, is blocked by Bennett. Horahan steps in before Vrancic, and Vrancic cleans him out, and the Bosnian international receives a yellow card.
That was a terrific pass from Sorensen. Just couldn't take it in, Vrancic, and then bobbles around, and Swansea once more alive to the situation, just knowing they need to get that first little touch, and then the challenge is going to come. Again, it's good professionalism from Conor Horahan, just running that clock down.
And we have 12 and a half minutes to play on TalkSport 2. PGA Tour Live coming up following this game. The Phoenix Open from Scottsdale in Arizona. 3:45 a.m. tomorrow morning for day 2 of the first test in Chennai, exclusively live to TalkSport 2. England looking to build on their first day total of 263 for 3, and Joe Root looking to push on from 128 not out in his 100th test match. I think Sam and I may have just got home by 3:45.
He'll be in diversion number 2 by then, Nigel.
Yeah, I pray the M4 is cleared this evening. Gibson with a high ball into the penalty area, and it's glanced away towards Bidwell on the far side, and the ball just ricochets out of play. It will be a Swansea, or rather a Norwich throw-in, which Ida's unable to gather, and Grimes has been absolutely everywhere for Swansea, just mopping up in front of the back three, but his clearance is picked up by McLean. Square now towards Sørensen. Sørensen though tries to go beyond Norton. Norton won the ball, and Sørensen fouls him anyway.
It's nice for Steve Cooper to have the option to play Grimes in that deeper role and then play the 2 more advanced midfielders. We've seen them switch it, dependent on the game, and obviously Dander will come in and play as a 10, I'm sure. But I felt, early part of the season, it kind of rested on who was going to be the number 10 for Swansea. They had Morgan's Gibb White, and he looked like he was going to be that kind of gold dust, if you like.
Then he got injured, yeah.
To get them over the line, Nigel, but they've proved that they can probably do it without an out-and-out number 10. Now Horahan's come in.
And of course he can play in that role if he has to.
Yeah, this balance looks good though. I really like Fulton. Obviously Corey Smith's done a brilliant job as well when he's been in the side this year, so there's good options depending on who the opposition are and where they're playing.
Now McLean for Norwich, wide to this near side, and Sørensen once again as we head towards the final 10 minutes on Talk Sport 2 at the Liberty Stadium. And third are about to beat first unless we have a dramatic change of story here, with Swansea leading by 2-0 as Hourahan has found Morris. Morris can turn, and it's Roberts on the edge of the penalty area. It breaks back towards Morris. He goes down under the challenge of Gibson, and no penalty given, and I think rightly so, although Steve Cooper is standing there, arms outstretched towards Lee Swaby, the fourth official.
Yeah, first watch, I agree with you, Nigel. I think maybe if the touch would have gone a little bit towards the opposite corner flag, away from the defender, and then the collision comes, but I think his touch maybe is towards the Norwich goal, then it's just a natural collision, if you like. So yeah, I'm with the referee there, but we've only seen it once.
Now Pukki on the edge of the penalty area, and he has been so quiet since half-time, Timo Pukki. I know he needs the service to come alive, but he's not had it.
No, nothing's changed really in the second half from the Norwich perspective. I think that I expected them to have width with Hernandez and Cantwell coming on, but they've come in field too much. They've not been able to create 2v1s in the wide area. Yeah, I've seen it back on the monitor. It's not a penalty, is it? I don't think.
No.
He's waiting for the contact, then comes the collision. If the ball's tighter to his body, maybe there's a shout.
And Morris has it again now, and he's looking to run Hanley down the right-hand side, back towards Ayew. And now Hourahan, and Norton has lost out to McLean. Ida quickly plays it forward. Here is Pukki, and Pukki is offside 15 yards into the Swansea half. Unless he scores in the next 9 minutes, it will be 1 goal in 8 games for Timo Pukki, which at championship level is a long wait for him, as Simon Hooper just comes across to this near side to have words with Steve Cooper, who's doing his best to look a picture of innocence but is failing miserably.
Sorry, Simon.
Yeah. Well, the referee comes away smiling. I think it was the penalty appeals which, I mean, maybe the first challenge, Hanley on Roberts, was more of a penalty than the one which led to the controversy between Morris and Gibson.
Possibly, yeah, that looked like it may have been a foul, but I just didn't think the Morris touch was assured enough. I think it took him away from the goal, and then collision was quite the natural outcome, if you like.
Of course, no VAR in the Championship, and after this week, that's a massive relief. 8 minutes to play on Talk Sport 2 at the Liberty Stadium. Either or both of these sides could be in the Premier League next season. Swansea looking good at the moment, leading Norwich by 2-0, but here is Hernandez coming forward down the left-hand side, back towards Gibson, square to Vrancic, who rides the challenge of Fulton, and Vrancic continues into the penalty area, and the back heel will find Hernandez. Hernandez looking to check onto his right foot, square to Pukki with the right-footed shot, and it's too high from the edge of the penalty area.
They worked that opening brilliantly well. Great play from Vrancic. Then Hernandez, on occasions in this second half, has been really clever with his touches, his directness, getting into the box, and has the intelligence to pick out the right pass. Pukki must have made probably 5 or 6 runs there. Finds himself, he doesn't actually, he just stands still. I thought he would have been checking and trying to make himself available, but just holds his position on the D. But misses the target by a long way. He's had 3 very good chances for his standards.
Swansea heading for their first victory over Norwich since their most recent meeting in the Premier League back in March of 2016, when Gylfi Sigurdsson scored the only goal. There's been a real turnover of players since Norwich left the Premier League, and mainly heading out of the door, of course, Joe Rodon was the latest one to go for an 8-figure sum to Spurs during the autumn transfer window, as Kieran Dowell prepares to come on for Norwich. Cantwell on the right corner of the penalty area, wide towards Aarons. Aarons again comes in field. It's a good cross from him, and it's just beyond a leaping Ida. Norwich appeal for a penalty. Ida slaps at the turf in frustration as Simon Hooper says goal kick.
Yeah, a really good ball. Looks like Ida's positioned himself perfectly in between centre halves, but just evaded. Might have been a slight touch, but not enough to be a penalty. In between Gerhi, there's a little arm around him, but again the Norwich players looking for the spot kick.
Cantwell comes off and Kieran Dowell comes on. I think Todd Cantwell's probably been Norwich's best player.
Yeah, he's been good, hasn't he? He's tried to affect it in the second half. He tried to step up and take that extra touch, go beyond people, but again, nothing to show for his endeavour really in terms of end product.
Swansea heading for their 15th clean sheet in 27 games, and when you have that sort of record, you always have a chance of going places. Ayew goes down looking for a free kick on the far side, but he was robbed by Dowell. And here is Vrancic. Now Gibson is forward, low towards the edge of the area. Dowell tries to poke it through towards Pukki when maybe he had the opening for a shot there, and it's gathered by Woodman.
Again, lack of conviction in the final strike. Well found, Gibson. Lovely pass. There was a bit of a overload on the left-hand side, but he turned down the opportunity to feed Hernandez going infield, and Dowell snatches at it, as we've seen from Kenny McLean and Pukki, the main marksman, finishing not been anywhere near good enough again tonight. 5 minutes to go. 2-0 to Swansea. We will continue to follow the story of the race for the Premier League on TalkSport 2 tomorrow. After the cricket at 12:30, Coventry against Watford. Watford, of course, beaten at home by Queen's Park Rangers on Monday night. Coventry also beaten in midweek by Nottingham Forest. And then at 3 o'clock, Middlesbrough against Brentford. Brentford, as things stand, could go within a point of Norwich at the top of the table. And over on TalkSport, Aston Villa against Arsenal at 12:30. Game day live with all the goals as they go in, live from St James's Park. And then Fulham against West Ham, followed by Everton against Manchester United. All live and exclusive to National Radio on TalkSport and TalkSport 2 tomorrow. Aarons now down the right-hand side with a break into the penalty area. It's a great cross from him, and Hernandez at the far post sweeps the half volley over the top. Yeah, comes at him really quickly. Tough opportunity. Does the right thing though, just tries to guide it back towards the target, right-footed on the half volley, but would have taken an unbelievable finish from that type of angle. For all the pressing, there's not been great sustained spells of pressure, and not really a great chance.
They've not had a shot on target, Norwich, in the second half. Swansea have had one and they scored.
Not a great chance, yeah. Just the one for Pukki, 5 minutes ago that he whistled over the top, but other than that, there's not been a high enough calibre of chance to say that they deserve anything from tonight's game.
And their record without Emi Buendia is going to be only one win in the 16 games he has not been involved in since he arrived at the club.
To say the Hugill injuries, bad timing as well, considering he got a couple
against Bristol City. Yeah,
he would have been an option. Sure, Jordan Rhodes got a couple of important goals the last time they were promoted.
Yeah, mainly off the bench.
Yeah, coming in to deputise for Pukki.
Lovely touch from Harahan to find Roberts. Arrogantly glides it wide to the right. Roberts with the cross into the penalty area. Krul coming to punch. It'll fall to Harahan, 30 yards out. Challenged by Dowell, but it's picked up by Roberts again. A lovely dummy from Fulton that almost finds Ayew on the edge of the penalty area. And at times, Swansea's football here has been exceptional. But here is Vrancic for Norwich. Pirouettes and finds McLeod, who's got room to bring the ball forward over the halfway line. Pukki inside the penalty area, onside, pulls it back though behind McLeod, and Harahan will just hoof the ball away on the far side for a throw-in. And the details have not quite been right for Norwich so far this evening, as a clearance from Bennett strikes Norton, and the flag is up for offside against Norwich inside the area, and we have 90 seconds to play.
Yeah, it's that split-second decision, isn't it? Pukki in his perfect area, really, where he does his best work, decides that the cutback's the option there rather than taking the strike on. Probably an example of the confidence that's maybe just lacking in his game right now. He's not fluid in his decision-making, as he hasn't been in his finishing. And his cutback goes a couple of yards the wrong side of Kenny McLean. Not his night again.
And we'll be back here on TalkSport 2 at the Liberty Stadium on Wednesday for the FA Cup 5th round tie between Swansea and Manchester City. We have 6 fifth round ties across the TalkSport network. Manchester United against West Ham, 7:30 on Tuesday, will be exclusive to national radio, only on TalkSport. We're into the 90th minute here with Swansea leading Norwich by 2-0, and the Canaries' revival does not look like it's happening at the moment, as Hernandez shows too much of that to Norton, and it will be a throw-in for Gibson on this near side. Back towards McLean, who just brushes aside Ayew, and then Hourihane heads towards the byline, and the cross deep into the penalty area, headed away by Gurhey. It'll be recovered by Aarons at the far post. Norwich have 7 players waiting for the cross, but it's onto the head of Gurhey once again. Now Sørensen for Norwich, infield to Vrancic. Swansea have every single player back behind the ball as we enter a minimum of 5 added minutes at the Liberty Stadium. We'll be off to Scottsdale and Arizona at the end of the commentary for more PGA Tour golf. The Phoenix Open, as a header from Ida is just met by a sprawling save from Woodman, who sends it behind for a corner.
Yeah, a little bit of a mistake from Woodman. He'll be disappointed if this ends up in a goal. Should have probably just allowed that to just go beyond the post. Lost his bearings maybe.
Vrancic will take the corner on the far side. Flat delivery into the near post, flicked on by Pukki. Bennett was there to head the ball away. Now Pukki again, back towards Vrancic. He's got the opportunity to deliver the cross, but he finds Aarons inside the penalty area. Aarons with a left-footed shot, and it's blazed high over the top.
Yeah, speculative, isn't it, on his weaker side as well. Never looking likely. Maybe it would have been better just recycling the ball there with the amount of players up in support, but he's not been there evening. Paul Goldie's diced in the early part of the second half, but yeah, they haven't had enough on Freddie Woodman's goal to suggest that this isn't the right result. Swansea deserved winners tonight.
Norwich at home to Stoke next, and they've got to find some goals from somewhere.
I mean, yeah, the run of games for a team at the top of the division looks quite nice coming up, but it becomes big pressure. I think they play all 3 promoted sides in the next few weeks. You know, tough games against teams battling, you know, Rotherham and Wycombe in particular, but they become big pressure games, especially the form that Swansea and obviously Brentford and Reading as well, that are still in, that still fancy their chances. So a lot of teams jostling up the top now who will be buoyed by what's happened here this evening.
And Norwich's results away to teams challenging at the top of the table have been very good. This will be their first defeat away from home against a side in the top 10, and they played all of them now. But when you play your rivals and you lose, then of course it's a double issue, because you drop points and then one of your rivals gains points on you. Here is McLean now, forward towards Vrancic, and simple challenge again from Ryan Bennett, and Ayew will try and run the ball clear. Has support from Grimes. Ayew though just holds on to it, goes back towards Gurhey, and it's flighted wide to this near side, and Roberts, who brings the ball down on the chest. Ayew back towards Hourihane, and now Grimes with an excellent ball forward. It's controlled by Morris, and Hanley will just guide the ball back towards Tim Krul once again, and he will look back on his error, which really was the turning point in the game just before half-time, gifting the goal to Andre Ayew, and Conor Hourihane made the most of it with a fantastic shot just after half-time. And from that moment, Norwich have looked a beaten team. Here is McLean, and Swansea just happy just to soak up the pressure, as they've been doing all season. Norwich were the team who were just edging games by a single goal at times, but at the moment Swansea City are one of the form sides, and they and Brentford are breathing down the neck of the leaders following this result. Vrancic once again, square towards Hanley, and Swansea have 8 players in a white line on the edge of their penalty area, and it's been impossible for Norwich to break down so far, and we are in the 94th minute. And again it's a sideways pass from Aarons to find McLean, who was forced back by Grimes towards the halfway line. Sørensen with the delivery now, and Bennett rising to head the ball away. They've seen all this before, haven't they?
Yeah, and looks like they've gone to a 3 now, Norwich, as they're chasing it 3-5-2, but I don't think it's about the shape, is it, really, Nigel? It's about the way that they defend Swansea City.
Here is Aarons on the edge of the penalty area. Dowling space down the left, good looking delivery, but it was too close to Woodman, who just gathers and then falls down on his haunches at the near post.
Yeah, no way through. And yeah, I'm just thinking about Danny Farke, if he could have done anything differently tonight. I suppose the criticism may come from the starting lineup and just not been offensive from the off, Nigel, but I think the in-game changes. He was aggressive start of the second half. He's changed it again now, but to no effect. And you know, when Swansea have got the lead, invariably they keep hold of those 3 points. I just think that's probably where the flak will come, starting Rupp and Skip maybe, and not going for Vrancic from the off, or maybe Hernandez to give them a little bit more thrust in one of the wide positions. That's probably where he'll face a little bit of criticism from the supporters, but in game I think his changes have been positive. The players just haven't had an effect.
But that is it. Massive win for Swansea City. But for Norwich City, they can sense the pack are closing in. Swansea and Brentford are leading the charge, and Swansea were much better than the leaders here at the Liberty Stadium this evening. 2 goals either side of half-time from Ayew and Hourahan. Swansea maintain their excellent defensive record, but for Norwich it is 4 games in succession without a goal, and they are a team now who will really have to battle in the midst of the Championship winter to maintain their place in the automatic promotion places. It is finished. Swansea City 2, Norwich City 0.